win every round. If a knockout comes, good.
That was almost a 2-point round. Lewis was so dominant. McCall is doing a very strange thing here, folks.
He's walking around.
He's wandering around the ring. He hasn't gone to his corner, and he's trying to figure out what's gone wrong, why he's not into this fight. The people in his corner are looking at him and wondering what's going on.
And you can see the disgust on George Benton's face.
I wonder if that's against the rules or not. Harold, you know anything about that?
You're supposed to stay in the corner, George, but I tell you the truth, he doesn't have to sit down. You don't sit down, for example. But you are supposed to stay in the corner. You can't wander out into the middle of the ring. The referee should have definitely got it back to a corner.
Oliver McCall threw a total of 15 punches, according to our punch stat numbers in round number 3. And here he takes a hard right hand to begin the 4th. So whether McCall is disgusted with himself, his corner, the referee, Lennox Lewis, the whole occupation of boxing, who knows? Lewis seems unsure what to do as McCall occasionally looks away from him and invites him to attack. This is a bizarre scene. Bizarre scene. What should Lewis do, George?
Well, you got to stay within the rules. Don't break any rules by hitting your guy behind the back or something like that. Then you can get yourself in trouble.
It looks like he's quitting, and I'm surprised that Mills Lane, in his 19th heavyweight championship fight, hasn't gone over and said something to him about, you got to fight. Oliver, you got to fight. That's what Mills should be saying to him, because he's not doing anything. This is one of the strangest things I've ever seen in a championship fight.
Well, on Tuesday of this week.
And he's shaking his head at George as if to say, there's something wrong, I got nothing here. Unless he's playing the greatest game of possum I ever saw.
Right hand by Lewis. McCall able to take it, even though he had his hands down. It's got to be a difficult thing for Lewis. He's aiming punches at a sitting duck here.
I don't know if the referee should let a fight like this go on. I mean, this is not what audience.
Yeah, now Mills Lane is going to call time and have a conversation with McCall. McCall has thrown 1 punch in the round. This is a bizarre display. I personally have never seen anything like it. He's not even looking at Lewis as he walks away.
As far as you know.
All right, let's go to Larry Merchant, who's with George Benton in McCall's corner. Larry?
This man's mind is gone.
George, you're saying that you think he snapped in there?
Well, you're watching it. You ever seen anything like this in your life?
Never. Did you see any sign of anything wrong with him during training?
No, never.
Did you see any sign of anything in the dressing room before the fight?
Nothing.
Do you think the referee should stop this fight because he's not fighting back?
I'm in this man's corner. I won't voice no opinion on that, but you see this man, he's still there. All he's got to do is fight.
Thank you, George.
Well, Oliver McCall's been talking religion this week, saying that he has found God in his life. That's his new mechanism for attempting to deal with all the problems that have haunted him in the past. Tuesday, he told a group of boxing writers, I'm going to retire after this fight. It's not godly to train for a long period of time to go out and try to hurt another man. Then Wednesday, at a pre-fight news conference, he said, no, I'm not going to retire. I will keep fighting after I win the championship. But something interferes with Oliver McCall's motivation as round 4 closes here.
Jim, I think this fight should be stopped right now.
Yeah, the fight shouldn't go on. I wouldn't want to see.
I mean, this is a farce. What is the old saying? The first time is tragedy. The second time is farce. There's something wrong with Oliver McCall. He's near tears now. He doesn't really want to fight. He's crying in his corner. I've never seen anything like this. He's overwhelmed with some sort of emotion.
Don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself, man. Come on, take some water.
He doesn't want to fight.
Come on, sit down, man. Sit down.
Oliver, sit down. Now, you want to fight? What's wrong? Huh? You don't want to fight?
Yeah, you want to fight.
Come on.
You can win this fight.
Take this boy out here. Come on. Hey, man. Come on and fight this motherfucker. This is for your daughter, man. Take this guy out here.
You heard Mills Lane say, do you want to fight? Reluctantly, it seems, he said yes. but it doesn't show on his face.
McCall's share of tonight's purse amounts to close to $3 million.
If I was in the commission here, I would hold that purse up. This is a disgrace. It's almost like you're watching a man come apart at the seams.
Well,
right
in a life filled with crises, Oliver McCall is having one right now before the eyes of the world, and it's placed Lennox Lewis in an awfully difficult and awkward position. Lewis doing what he has to do.
This isn't right.
You wonder how much longer Mills Lane will allow this to go on, and that's going to be it.
Well, I've seen some strange things in boxing. That is surely one of the strangest.
With a whimper, not a bang, Lennox Lewis has just become the WBC World Heavyweight Champion for the second time in his career. Mark Ratner, Executive Director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, joins us now at ringside. Mark, your take on what you just saw.
We are going to hold up his purse. We are not going to let him cash his letter of credit. We're very upset with what happened. We'll have a full investigation. He will not get paid tonight.
It did not appear as though he wanted to fight.
That is correct. We're very upset.
Thank you very much, Mark. So now Larry Merchant goes into the ring, and George, that was painful.
Yeah, but this guy's had a painful life for the last few moments. He's been under counseling for drugs, and believe me, there's a lot of young people in that fix, in the same fix he's in. Someone's going to have to help him.
The last thing he needs in his life is the pressure of boxing right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, and the crowd is cheering, and I wanted to just get up there and embrace him and let him know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, because where do you go from here?
Let's hope he can continue to pursue the path of religion in which he now believes, and that can be the reconstructive mechanism in his life.
Yeah, believe me, there are a group of people in this country who's in the same shape he is, and they really need us. And this guy is in bad shape, and he needs us. And I don't know, I'm sorry to see the boxing crowd see something like that, because maybe they're unfamiliar with it, but we see this every day in the lives of young people who got mixed up, got on the wrong side of the track, and they can't get back on.
A stunned crowd at ringside here at the Las Vegas Hilton. You heard the boos. You saw some people throwing cups of ice and beverages on McCall and his entourage as they left the ring. Greg Page removing the gloves from McCall's hands, and McCall discussing with bystanders over there whatever it was that motivated him to stop fighting in the middle of his proposed championship battle with Lennox Lewis. Larry Merchant stands by with the two-time WBC heavyweight titleist.
Lennox, congratulations, I guess. What did you see?
Well, I think the main thing is, I went out there and just asserted myself. I didn't allow him to come in too much. I think he found it difficult to get through my jab. I was just playing with him with my jab, just popping it out, waiting for him to make a move. And, when he started walking away, I thought it was a joke at first. I thought he was trying to nail me into something. But then, he kept on going. So I just picked up the pace and just continued.
Do you think that his idea was to come out, try to land one more big right on you and end it? Otherwise, he really didn't want to fight?
Well, the first time we met, I realized that it was a lucky punch, and I told the world that it was a lucky punch, because he doesn't have enough skill that can contend with me. The main thing, I just went out there and just, put my jab out, and he couldn't really contend with that, and, basically gave up.
Do you think he was having some kind of a breakdown in the ring?
I don't know. I wore these white trunks for a reason, but,
What was the reason?
Oh, just to look good and have a mental kind of stress on him. Seeing me come out as a gladiator in some sense.
What do you want to do next?
Next, I want to get in the ring as soon as possible and just continue the winning success that I'm having.
Thank you very much, Lennox Lewis. And now I'm with Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel, first I have to ask you about Oliver McCall, since you trained him for the last fight. Tell us what you thought happened.
I think he almost got like a miniature breakdown emotionally. He was very frustrated. I think the size of Lennox totally had him in awe, and after trying to get in, Lennox did what we told him. It was not a hard jab. It was just a continue like a ranger jab to just keep him at a distance and keep him frustrated. We figured about 7, 8 rounds we would knock him out, but he just got totally frustrated because he could not effectively get in. And I think it just got to a point, being that he's such a high, strong, emotional guy, that he just said forget it.
Did he, in some sense, revert to being a sparring partner after that?
I think to a certain degree he did resemble a lot of the sparring partners that we worked with. And we had watched a lot of George Foreman's films, believe it or not, and we went back to just use that. We called it all the time steadily filling him with the left hand and being ready to take a step back with your right foot as soon as he comes forward. And it worked. And mentally, it just broke him down. He was when a guy is really charged up and wired up the way that he is, it's very easy to confuse him.
I recall, and I mentioned earlier, that after the first, then just before the first fight, he seemed wired up beyond being wired up. We thought he was having a breakdown before that fight. Yeah. He came in a much more low-key way this time. What did that signal to you?
He could never attain what he was that night. That's one of those unbelievable highs. They tried to do it, and that was why Lennox's orders was to not do nothing aggressive. The first round was to clinch him, wrestle him up, throw him down to kind of slow him down. A lot of what Evander did to Tyson. When a guy is really wired up, you wrestle him and do different things to kind of slow him down and get him out of his groove. And after he got out of that charged up mode, it was just a matter of time before he just got frustrated and said, I quit.
What did you tell Lennox between rounds? Because certainly you probably have never had a fighter faced with that situation.
I thought that Oliver was up to a trick. He was just trying to sucker punch to get Lennox to come in. So the first round that he did that, I was a little cautioned. But after the last time I saw it, I said, just go out and charge him and put a combination of punches together, and he's going to quit.
All right, let's briefly take a look now at the moment at which Mills Lane elected to stop the 19th heavyweight championship fight of his refereeing life. It was an all-too anticlimactic moment for... I'm trying to see a monitor here. An all-too anticlimactic moment for the crowd, which paid big money for tickets to the fight, and a dangerous moment as well. Lennox Lewis was doing what he had to do, trying to land big right hands against an Oliver McCall who was barely defending himself, and Mills Lane at that point had seen enough. And now we bring you live to ringside with the referee himself, Mr. Let's Get It On, Mills Lane. Mills, you've had a lot of tough assignments in boxing. That had to be one of the toughest.
It was amazing. I think something happened. I think he suffered some type of an emotional breakdown. It looked like he was crying, his lip was quivering. And then I thought at first he was playing possum. And then he just wouldn't defend himself. And, I mean, it was just no use for it to go on.
Was it painful for you and a little scary to watch Lewis throwing those big right hands against a guy who was barely defending himself?
Especially when he had his hand down with no chance to defend himself and didn't even want to. He looked like he almost wanted to get knocked out.
When you went to McCall between rounds 4 and 5 and asked him if he wanted to continue fighting, did he seem to be indicating to you that he thought he did?
Yeah, he said, I gotta fight. I want to fight. I gotta fight.
But then he came out and did exactly the opposite. Now, you could have disqualified him, it seems to me, for walking around the ring between rounds and not going into his corner.
Well, I don't know. You can stand up. You're supposed to be in your corner when the bell rings, but you can stand up. So I don't think that's a ground for disqualification.
Did you ever consider asking his corner, what the heck is going on with this guy and what should I do?
I didn't ask him what I should do. I don't want the corner telling me, but I did go to the corner and say, what's wrong with your kid? Something's wrong here.
Well, Mills, I think you come out of it unscathed because nobody got hurt, and let's just hope that the next heavyweight championship fight you do has a little more action than this one.
Thanks, Jim, very much.
All right, Mills Lane, one of the greats of his trade. Now let's turn our attention back to George Foreman. And George, it seemed to me that Oliver was trying to send a message to you even during his unusual performance here. He was looking at you from time to time with a look that seemed to say, I'm not sure whether I want to be here. What did you make of it?
I signaled to him to keep boxing. This is your sport. This is a livelihood. We've got kids to feed. Don't ever put this sport to shame. But he looked at me as if to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. And so I figured he had some sort of breakdown today, and he's going to really need to be embraced by his family now. It's going to be hard to live with something like that.
A lot of us felt that Lennox Lewis would benefit enormously from a stirring win here tonight. You know, if he could perform well, attack Oliver McCall, knock out the guy who had knocked him out. Does he gain anything from this?
No doubt about it. He was able to keep him at bay with that left jab and make it look easy. Whenever Oliver McCall tried to throw a right hand, he just waved it off. It frustrated him. That was part of the reason that he just literally quit.
One of them tonight, obviously, was Oliver McCall, and we told you about the personal problems that have dogged him throughout his life. Obviously, as I told you before the fight, those are bigger issues in his life than whether he wins a boxing match. Larry Merchant's been trying to get into McCall's dressing room to find out what's going on there. Let's see what he's got. Larry?
Jim, I've been trying to get in without much success. Commission doctors have been talking to McCall. We don't know the results of those talks. We've tried to get people in the camp of Oliver McCall to talk to us, but nobody is talking right now. We have heard from George Benton before. It's as strange to him as anyone else. Here, one moment, and Mark Ratner will be with us, of the commission. Mark, what can you tell us that you didn't know 10 minutes ago?
Nothing right now. I'm absolutely shocked. I've never seen anything like this in my 15 years in boxing, and we're very upset as a commission, and we are going to have a full investigation and withhold any money that he would have coming tonight.
What legally can you withhold money, and in what basis?
My attorney generals are right now with us for failure to honestly compete. He did not compete in an honest manner in my opinion, and we are going to do that.
And that's in the rule book?
Yes, it is.
And so can you withhold the entire purse of $3 million to everybody in his camp?
What we're going to do is have a hearing. We'll hold the money until we find out exactly what happened tonight. But he'll have his day in court.
Is there any precedent for you actually withholding the money and not paying him and giving the money back to the promoter and or the public in some way?
There's precedent. We've had fined people before. I don't believe we've ever fined anybody the complete purse like this, but we have to have a hearing.
So it's possible that there'll be a major fine on Oliver McCall.
Yes, there will be. There will be. I mean, he'll have his day in court, but there could be a major fine. Yes.
And as far as the purse is concerned, is this a legal matter that's very difficult for you to adjudicate?
Well, I have my 2 attorney general deputies here right now, and we are discussing it as we speak.
Thanks very much. Jim?
And a final look at Oliver McCall. One thing which cannot be denied, this is a man in severe personal turmoil and stress. In no way was this an act. Oliver McCall would have had to have been an Academy Award caliber actor to have fooled anybody with the kind of stress and turmoil that he was undergoing tonight. Obviously, George, that was entirely real, and at this point, regardless of which side of the fence you're on, I think you got to feel sympathy for a guy like that.
A lot of sympathy, because not only he's just probably tonight the standard bearer for the condition of a lot of people. Really, we're going to have to stop and think about what we're going to do for these people. They're out there, they don't know what to do with their lives. They want to go to work in the morning, but they just don't know what to do. And McCall has problems, and we just can't walk away from it. And it's entered into the ring with us now.
Incidentally,
we have to find some remedies here.
Yeah, we tried to talk to both Oliver McCall and his promoter, Don King, without success.